5 mind-boggling questions Jukun youth ask their leaders. Asking and answering questions is part of how we learn. The following 5 questions are some of the popular questions many Jukun youth want their elders to answer. Here are some of the best answers given to these questions. Why are there frequent interethnic conflicts with their neighboring tribes, especially the Tiv? According to records, the conflict has been reoccurring since 1959, and over the years, blood has been flowing in the area. Indeed, the Tiv-Jukun crisis has consumed scores of lives even as it assumed different dimensions. Jukun and other ethnic groups in southern Taraba are accusing the Tivs of causing the crisis in southern Taraba as part of their expansionist agenda. For those who do not yet know, the last attacks and killings in Donga communities were part of series of unprovoked acts of aggression by the Tiv against the Jukun. They just want attention for the demands they have been making to be met. One of them is that a traditional ruler of Tiv extraction be appointed for them. The Jukuns say they cannot have a traditional ruler in a land that is not theirs because traditional authority is rooted in the traditions of the people. Over the years, they have grown in population and so they need more land. This expansionist tendency is taking them to lands that belong to the Jukun. The Jukun are resisting this. But the question being asked is, if chiefdom is created in Okari and a Tiv person is crowned as a paramount ruler or first-class chief, will he be answerable to the Aku Uka in Taraba or the Tor Tiv in Benue? Now, on to the second question, which is, why are some people against the Jukun? People mainly hate the Jukun people because of lack of trust and cooperation among the Jukuns. It is said that the glorious Korarafa kingdom collapsed in the 19th century due to internal dissension, partly from Yaji's reign of 1349 to 1385 in Kano Chronicles, which referred to the Jukun race as the only pagan tribe which refused to submit to the sovereignty of Yaji because they were never conquered. Another popular question is this: why do the Jukuns not bury their king? There is a tradition among the Jukun people called Pankia. It is a historic event of the transition of the Jukun king known as the Aku Uka once he joins his ancestors. The Pankia event only takes place when the king dies. The occasion draws together all the descendants of the old Korarafa kingdom to pay their last respect to their demised traditional supreme leader. Another Pankia event was recently witnessed on January 14, 2022 in Ukari, the headquarters of the Jukun kingdom, where the late Dr. Shekarau Angiu Masaibi Kuvyong II, CON, the supreme leader of the Jukun, was escorted to join his ancestors. The life of a Jukun king from the period he ascends the throne and his passage to the spiritual realm is usually shrouded in mystery. This is because he is not just the traditional head of the Jukuns, but also the spiritual and religious leader. To the Jukuns, death is not the end of their king. It is only a stepping point to the next life of immortality. In accordance with these beliefs, a king does not die in Jukun land. Instead, he is transposed to the spiritual realm, while the new king is put through a rite that makes him a continuation of the dead king. In the Jukun tradition, the death of the king must be followed with the ritual suicide of the king's horseman as well as the king's wares, because the horseman's spirit is essential to helping the king's spirit ascend to the afterlife. The death of a king remains unannounced until certain traditional rites are completed. The Abunwasio kingmaker will communicate the news of the king's passage to the traditional council for official announcement to the Jukun community for the preparation of the Pankia, a post-royal transition rites. The Pankia is usually kicked off by a group of young Jukun men called the Akie. This procession is seen only during such event, as all the willing young men and women of the Jukun kingdom will appear in their traditional Jukun attires, walk in the middle of the rode with pride to escort their late king to the other side of life. Many people have wondered why there has never been a grave for any previous Jukun king. The answer is that the Jukuns never bury their king. Dating back to history, there's a thick forest where one big hut was built for any of the wives of the king who is in her menstrual period. It is a taboo for a Jukun king to stay in the same roof with a woman who is in her monthly period. Such a woman is sent to the deep Puja forest to dwell there until the end of her menstrual cycle. This practice was later abolished, but the hut inside the Puja forest still remains. It is the final destination for every late Jukun king. The hut is now called Nando, a place where kings rest. The most recent Pankia event was witnessed on Friday, January 14, 2022, during the funeral of the late Akuka, where people who wish to see the transition gathered at a designated place close to the Puja forest with a temporary blockade from the audience using thatch fences. The king and the horseman rode out heroically. The women indulged in shouts of songs praising the legendary act of the horseman as he rode atop the horse. The strongest spiritual men among them go further with the horseman, but deep in, it is only the horseman and the late king that will ride alone into the thatch hut in the heart of the forest. The Pankia ceremony often attracts traditional rulers from across the nation. Royal fathers like the Gara of Donga, Longomai of Shandam, Ata Igala, Ochi Idoma, Fagachi Kefi, Chief Mark Elayo Tutaki of Kaina, among others. Tourists, citizens and residents of Taraba, and the mixture of people from diverse walks of life are allowed to attend the Pankia. This brings us to the question, why are the king's horse riders ordained from birth? A specific family in the Jukun land has been tasked with the duty of the horseman to the king. Members of such family are trained from childhood to perform such duty relentlessly. However, this arrangement is already suffering hitches in modern times, as most Jukuns believe it is barbaric and archaic to be continued. Why are cultural norms always observed? Cultural norms are paramount among any ethnic group, as cultural norms and values are passed down from generation to generation. These norms can be forgotten if not passed down to the younger generation. A man is born with a learning mind through imitation, and it is what the young generation meets that they would grow up with. Once the cultural norms are not observed, the younger people will not practice what they never saw their parents practicing. To learn more about Jukun's cultural heritage and for more interesting videos, follow us on this channel.